to London Let's YouTube channel. Welcome if you're new and welcome if you're not. So welcome everybody, especially, you know, we've got a lot of new subscribers as well. Welcome to the channel. So guys, everyone is so focused on Diddy, but no one's looking at Gotti. Now I'm going to be reading some quotes today from Confessions of a Video Vixen, because I think this tells a lot about what Gotti has been up to. Gotti, to me, seems like he's involved in some sort of like trafficking, pimping. It seems like he's doing a similar thing to what happened to Cassie. And I'm going to be talking about, you know, what happened to Karine Steffans when it comes to Gotti. But also, I'm going to be doing more content on Karine Steffans because I believe she is a victim. I do not believe she is, you know, this superhead that they gave her, this host stamp they gave her. I'm going to be talking about her because I believe she is one of the first victims of the music industry who actually came out, talked about it and penned it. But when she wrote the book, she wrote the books as though, you know, it was a lifestyle, she was involved, and you hear a lot about her childhood abuse and things like that. But now we know so much more about what goes on in this industry. She is most definitely a victim. But today's video, we're more focusing on Gotti. So I'm going to be reading some quotes of what Gotti had actually been up to. And it's up to you to, you know, decide what you think. But of course, Gotti, in this situation I'm going to be reading out, is involved with Diddy. Surprise, surprise. You know, it seems like everything sleazy, Diddy kind of has something to do with it. Anyway, let's get into it. The part of the book I'm going to start from, Karine has just restarted up her old affair she was having with Gotti. Gotti is actually married. And you're going to see how Gotti arranges for her to sleep with, you know, another man. This is where the pimp vibes coming in, okay, guys? So let's get into the story. So I resparked my affair with Ive Gotti, head of the label which housed my former lover Ja Rule, as well as singer Ashanti. Gotti would call me every time he was in town, and even when he wasn't. When he called, I went to him. I did whatever he asked of me, and he would take care of me financially for the time that I spent with him and Murder Inc. I was a part of something when I was with them, but I was also a drug addict, you know, and an alcoholic. From sun up to sundown, we were surrounded by ecstasy and cognac. It was literally there for breakfast, lunch and dinner. I continued to be depressed after wrapping the movie and began to indulge in even more dangerous habits that accompanied hanging out with this crowd. There was more sex, more intoxicants and more unsavoury behaviour. I was paid to be the bad girl, but as long as I was wanted, I would have done whatever it took to stay in the mix. The things that went on while Gotti and I were together are almost unimaginable to me now. But in the haze of drugs and liquor, it all seemed alright. I was being used over and over again. There was man after man, all friends and acquaintances of Gotti. I was doing what I was told by one of the most prominent men in the industry, and now was well rewarded for my misbehaviour. It was no secret that Gotti is not the most sensitive person around. He can be downright brutal. It's also no secret that Gotti was married with 3 children and kept lovers all around the globe. But I was his favourite. No matter where he was in the world, he was always finding his way back to me. His wife knew of me and our relationship. I wasn't in love with Gotti by any means, but he was a gatekeeper to the lifestyle to which I had become accustomed and addicted. And because of that, Gotti was in charge. I quickly became Gotti's showpiece. He would turn other people in the industry onto me. I was his party favour. And I became this new form of payola with label and radio heads. Whenever there was someone who Gotti wanted me to impress, he would send me to them. And I would take care of them. One of those people was Sean P. Diddy Combs. It was sometime after Valentine's Day, 2001. Just after Diddy and Jennifer Lopez had announced their split. Gotti and I had spent the day drinking and popping ecstasy as usual. The mixture of alcohol and X often made me extremely sexual, and we'd have sex all day and night. As a lover, Gotti was insatiable. The drug drove him to unbelievable heights, and soon he began experimenting with Viagra. The sex became more like a boxing match than anything else. We would compete against each other, and the most every occasion I would win. There were a few times when he actually got up and ran up and even locked himself in the bathroom in order to get away from me. Still, at other times, he got the sexual upper hand. I would lie in bed, curled in a ball, feeling completely spent, which in my abbreviated state turned me on even more. Gotti and I were a match as lovers. On one particular night, we were riding around Beverly Hills in a limousine with Jar and other members of the Inc., and we ended up at Mamba, a club on the west side. We ventured through the club, entourage in tow, and made our way to the outdoor patio, out to the back parking lot. I stood there beside Gotti and Diddy walked up to him. They greeted each other with a slap of the right hand. Diddy held a drink in his left. He seemed to be intoxicated, as were we. I stood there looking at him while they spoke, when all of a sudden he turned and looked right at me. His conversation with Gotti was abruptly cut short as he took a few steps closer to me. He grabbed my hand and said, "I want you. Can I have you?" Then Diddy turned to Gotti and said, "My bad dog, is this you?" Gotti quickly said, "Nah, it's cool. That's Giuseppe. She's cool people. Can she come with me?" Diddy asked. I wanted to leave with Diddy right then. The XTC had me in a mood where wherever I felt normally was height needed 100%. Even the wind on my face made me orgasmatic. Right there in front of me, Gotti and Diddy made arrangements for me to meet Diddy at his house in an hour. "I'll send you home in a little bit," Gotti said. "Give me the address." I didn't understand why Gotti didn't let me go with Diddy right then, but we took the address and got back in the limo. We went back to El Hermitage, and after we took more XTC, Gotti was tearing away at my clothes. Gotti had a strange bedside manner. He would get rough at times, which I could handle when we were high. He also liked to compare himself to other men. He wanted to know how they were built, how they had sex. He wanted to know if I liked Diddy and when I was going to sleep with him when I got over there. "You're going to fuck him good, huh?" Gotti asked. I just wanted him to hurry and shut up so I could make my way to Cannon Drive to meet up with Diddy. Gotti sent me on the way and gave me the key to his room so I wouldn't wake him up when I returned. It was 4 in the morning when I pulled up to Diddy's home in my SUV. There were security guards in the driveway, all of them dressed in dark suits with their hands clasped in front of them. They stood at attention waiting for me to approach the gate. They had been expecting me and they let me into the house through the garage. I stood in the hallway waiting for Diddy. My body was hot as the drugs and the alcohol continued to feed off each other. After a few minutes, Diddy greeted me to the nearest bedroom where Farnsworth Bentley, Diddy's self-proclaimed manservant, had been sleeping. Diddy woke him and gestured for him to leave. My guess was there was someone else upstairs in Diddy's room, and this was to be my first and final destination within his home. "So who is Gotti to you?" he asked. "And is he cool with this?" "Gotti's my boy," I said. "When I see something I want, he lets me have it." With that slight formality out of the way, Diddy and I spent the next 15 minutes or so engaging in the usual. After the experience, he said, "You're the best." I said the same to him, when actually he was just average. Our sexual encounter was pretty straightforward, nothing out of the ordinary. Before I left, he asked me to meet him back at the house the next morning at around 11:30 for brunch. I accepted and travelled back to El Hermitage, and Gotti was asleep. I crawled into bed and fell asleep beside him. The next morning, Gotti wanted details. I really had nothing to say about my experience with Diddy. He was polite and gentle, and I actually preferred him as a person over Gotti, who was cocky and nasty at times. Gotti seemed a bit frustrated with my unwillingness to give him details, and even more irritated by the fact that I had been invited back for brunch. He always wanted to present me as his resident whore, but hated it when anyone actually wanted to keep me around, which happened quite often. He almost relished the idea of people using me and then throwing me away like yesterday's newspaper. But I was beaming from ear to ear as I got dressed to head back to Diddy's house. Gotti left in a hurry with a look of disgust on his face, and that made me even happier. Now you see what's going on here. Gotti is arranged, right, for Karina to go to, Diddy's house and have sex with him. And as you can see, she's, been passed around the whole of Murder Inc. to all these executives and things like this. This would make, if these allegations are true, and this is true what's in the book, look, this would make Gotti a pimp. This is what pimps do. They have a relationship with you. They have sex with you. They make you a girlfriend-ish. They then, you know, pass you on to different people they know. And they normally receive a payment. So he probably did receive payments as well. And, you know, to me, it's very typical in this industry. We're seeing a lot of pimping and trafficking going on. We think all these men are getting, you know, all their money just from the music, just from the rap and from legitimate things, when a lot of them are involved in, you know, drugs, pimping and trafficking. As you can see, she's talked about how, you know, nasty Gotti can be. And these type of people, you know, they thrive by giving you fare. You have to have some sort of fare of them, which would explain why he's, you know, seeming like such, you know, a nasty person. The cops tried to get him in the past for money laundering, which he beat the charges. They also tried to, you know, charge him for smoking drugs at an R. Kelly show. He also beat them charges. He's worth about 25 million. But bear this in mind, okay? When I've got, you know, the Murder Inc. record label, it was under Russell Simmons. Now remember, Russell Simmons has got plenty of cases, you know, against him, but he left the country to avoid getting charged. Because Russell Simmons, I mean, he was accused by, you know, 18 women of sexual assault and rape. And as I told you, he left the country to get away with it. There was also a day I was watching him and he was, you know, talking to his niece. And he was very interested in the fact that she had lost her virginity. A little strange, a little creepy for her uncle. And then you have to remember, you know, his own ex-wife, Kimora, was like 17 years old. And he was 35 years old when he met her. I mean, there's no 35-year-old man that should be talking to, you know, a 17-year-old. And then there's all the other accusations of him, you know, being, you know, verbally abusive and stuff towards his daughter. So, you know, let's be honest. I've got he's keeping, you know, very, very bad company. So he's, you know, associated to Russell Simmons, then Jay-Z, because a lot of allegations that are allegedly going to be coming out about Jay-Z. So we've got Jay-Z, he's friends with, then he's, you know, associated with P. Diddy, you know, who is one of the worst. And, you know, R. Kelly as well. So, you know, the names are not good that are associated with him. Anyway, guys, I'm going to see you on the next video because, you know, we've got to, you know, talk more about all these things that are going on. I'm going to be covering some more of this book at some point as well because, you know, every name is in these two books. Anyway, guys, don't forget to comment and subscribe and I'll definitely see you guys on another one.
Way off in the deep end like usual. Niggas swear they passed us, they doing too much. Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up.